Hey there. Hi there. Glad to have at least one person watching. You can ask any questions that you want. I'll be able to respond to them in at any time. Okay. This is about your assignment for the analysis with flow sheet for the argumentation and debate class at Santiago Canyon College. So let's take a look at that assignment. All right. So here's the instructions. They're um, really simple, but at the same time, sometimes people need a little bit more detail, and that's what I'm going to be doing right now. Okay. So for this assignment, you're going to be analyzing the arguments from your practice debate. Now, this is starting from your affirmative debate. These are the election-related topics. You should have a pairings sheet that I sent out. You could go back to your inbox. You could download it again. It is still there, and you can take a look at it. So this time, what we did was you had an affirmative that you submitted, and just recently you submitted a negative. You're switching sides, but now we're going back to the affirmative. All right. So you go to the pairing sheet. You find your name under the affirmative column, and that's what you're doing right now. Okay, so make sure that you're on the affirmative. We keep going back and forth, back and forth. So now you're back on the affirmative. You are going to represent the arguments that you and your opponent made in the debate in the form of a flow sheet. You must explain what your strategy will be going into the rebuttal, the first affirmative rebuttal, right? So this is just a little bit of practice on doing rebuttals before we start getting into the full debates that are going to be happening very soon. Okay, so you're going to submit a single PDF document, write the full wording of your resolution at the top. The first section must include a flow sheet. I'm going to be showing you what that looks like in a second, but there's going to be columns where you are representing the arguments, and you're going to be showing how those arguments work. Okay. So let's actually do that first. So I'm going to drop down. You're going to write in a flow sheet, right? So here you go. You have a template. So how do you do this? Highlight that. And you just click, I right click it and I say, go to this link, and it opens up this flow sheet template for you to use. So you can see here's the columns, right? And the very, very first thing that you should do once this opens, and I have to wait for it to finish loading, is that you are going to go to File, and you're going to make a copy for yourself. You will not have access to edit this document yourself. So I'm going to do the flow sheet template for it's thinking. I'm going to change the name first. For the online spring 2024, get rid of the copy of. Okay. All right. And so now, when you do that, you will have your own document to get started with, and it's a really nice little template. Okay, so let's go back to the instructions here. So you're going to have a table with 3 columns. You could make your own document if you want, but you could just download your own template. Place all the arguments from the 1AC in the first column. So you are going to go to, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the actual pairing sheet from our group right here. Here we go. Okay. So this is the column that you're looking at right here. I'm highlighting it. Okay. So you're looking up your name here, right? And so that is the arguments that you're going to be putting into that first column. Now, let's say that I'm going to open up one of these columns. So I'm just going to open up this one, but I'm going to remove it. I'm going to put it in a different area so we're not looking at it. Okay. And what that does is it opens up the recording, and since we're using Udemy, it has a transcript. Okay. And now you can look at the entire transcript. So the one that I opened up is about increasing felon voting rights. And so what you're going to do in this column is you're going to put all the arguments that they said. So you're going to do like there's like definitions. So this is a policy debate. That's the first argument they made. We're going to talk about the terms. So I might even just do, this is like subpoint A. I'm going to do a subpoint B. I don't like how it's formatting that, so I'm just going to move these over here. There we go. So now you could put the terms in its own thing if you wanted to. So I'm going to do voting. It's going to be election rights. Okay, and I think they had. So then there was a plan. Again, I'm going to just line this up over here. And the plan is I think that they're like there's the Delaware. I'm not going to get too deep into this. We're going to use the Delaware model for voting rights. Let's skip on down. Boom, boom, boom. This is my fourth criterion, and then they have net benefits. C, D. Okay, we'll just put that over there. Boom. Then we're going to go to political party. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start just kind of doing a few things. And so I'm just going to put placeholders in, right? So under the first advantage, they might have 3 pieces of evidence, and then they might go for an advantage 2. Let's see here. Okay, and then like and then you have an ethnic and minorities advantage, and they might have several arguments underneath there, right? So what I'm showing you here is that the arguments are they're put into this sheet in the single column. Okay, so from there, like all of those arguments in the first affirmative constructive are right there. So first thing is hold on. You should just copy and paste the whole resolution up there. But as you can see, there would be things that you would include there. I'm just using X's to show the placeholder that you actually put actual content in there. But what I'm showing you is just the method that we're using. All right. So now if I were to, so if that's the first affirmative, then what I want to do is, and that's from, the student named Precious, the student named Alexis provided the 1 NC. Again, I'm not going to show their video, but I'm going to use the sort of arguments that they made and to kind of show you how you're going to flow them. So So in this one, my first argument is followed. Many parts of private citizenship are stripped from felons. So to me, it seems like a little bit cherry picking. All right. So your first argument is felons lose all sorts of rights. Voting is just one. Now, notice the reason why I'm putting it down here is because the in the column, what you want to do is you want to put the arguments that are most relevant or that are refuting the affirmative arguments immediately to the right of them. If they are not directly refuting an argument, you want to put them on a new row, but in the negative column. The reason for this is the affirmative. What you want to do is you want to point out if there are any dropped arguments. See that? So what you're doing here is that, listen, I made an argument about the advantage of political participation, and my opponent dropped it. They did not respond to it. Those are certain things that you want to say in your rebuttal. And you can illustrate the dropped argument in the flow sheet. So that this table is what we call as the flow sheet, because you're flowing it from left to right. Okay. So that's just one of the things. The person here elaborates on it with several different pieces of evidence, all right, and then they may move on to their next argument. Okay, other freedoms. So for the time being, we have to operate under the system. Example. Okay, there's a lot of those. Pay the price. Okay, but let's just say that you have a response on this one that felons don't typically vote even when the right is reinstated. So let's say like they didn't make that argument in there, but if they made that argument, that is a direct response to participation. They're like, this will increase political participation. If your argument is no, it won't, then you want to have that be directly next to each other so you could read it from left to right. See, I'm just showing you like what it would sound like. Like felon voting doesn't disproportionately affect minorities. I don't think that's true. But if you were to make that argument, that's where it would go, right? That would be the direct response. Any arguments that are indirect response that are just like you making arguments, you can put it right there. And so this one here probably isn't made. I don't see it made anywhere. And so you can say that is a dropped argument. And now when you get into your rebuttal strategy down here, you're actually going to write it out word for word what you're going to say. So first you would refute the consequences argument. That's this. Felon is just it's just a consequence, right? You're going to refute the consequences argument. And then you are going to extend the dropped minorities argument. Okay. And what you want to do, I'm just outlining it right now, but what you want to do is you want to write it out for You want to write out this whole strategy in 400 to 450 words. And so I would only suggest that you have 2, maybe 3 sections in that, because it's a really, really short speech. It's only 3 minutes long, and that's like 400 to 450 words. So you want to kind of outline just the 2 or 3 things that you're going to go over, but it has to be illustrated in the folder. It has to be illustrated in that one way or another. Okay, you have to kind of show that somehow. Let me see if anyone's watching. No. All right. So this assignment is not incredibly complicated, but it does require a little bit of attention to detail. In this sheet right here, there's going to be a whole lot of empty cells. Okay, you can see there's a whole bunch of empty cells. And so like the first affirmative is going to be, oh, I don't want that. See, the first affirmative, you could list the first affirmative chronologically from top to bottom. But then once you get into the negative speech, it's about where do you put the arguments? Where do you put those responses? Okay, in there. And then for the affirmative, is like, what are you going to strategize? It's like, fellows lose all sorts of rights. What are you going to say? Is like, they have already paid for their crime. Oop, I used the wrong form of there. All right, I would obviously elaborate on that, but where are you going to put that elaboration? You're going to put that elaboration here in when you explain yourself in more detail. Okay, that's all it is. It's this sheet right here. You're going to show me that you understand the arguments as they happen. Now remember, these are arguments that were made, not the ones that should be made. Okay, the rebuttal is the only column where you're going to put arguments that have not been made yet. All of these, I should be able to find these arguments in the transcript of the 2 speeches, your first affirmative and your opponent's negative. I should be able to see them. All right, you do not make it up. You don't elaborate. You don't embellish or anything like that. It should just be as they appeared in the speech. That's what goes in there. And then that makes it so you can strategize what you're going to say in the rebuttal. And then you flesh out what words you're going to use in what words you would use in the rebuttal if we were going to record it. With that being said, there is no recording requirement for this particular assignment. This is the last assignment before we get into the real debates, right? The final debates. You have 6 debates that form your final for this course, and they start next week. So get this one done. You should have everything that you need. If you need anything, please email me. Do not wait until Sunday night to email me like many of you have been doing throughout the semester. Look at the assignment. Make sure that you have everything that you need now and contact me now so I can take care of it so you can get it done by the due date. All right? If you need anything, you know how to contact me. All right, anybody. If you need anything, I look forward to it.